Grew up in I think, a very unique environment, a unique home of kind of our dad being a visionary and our mother being a very, very solid person, and our parents were our role models. Our dad taught us, and our mom, they taught us a sense of self-belief and confidence, which I think is uncommon in an area that we grew up in, uncommon for women, especially more recent women are taking definitely further strides, but as women we were brought up to be very confident and to believe in ourselves and to have free thought. I think a lot of people are brought up to think the traditional way, go out, get a job, fit into society. Our parents taught us to go out and make your own path, make a difference in your own way. And I think that has made a huge difference for the way we do things, even on the court. Kind of different style of tennis, different way of approaching life, just kind of letting who you are shine through. I definitely credit my parents for where we are today. They were our role models growing up and still are. I turned out just like them, so hopefully that's good. You guys think so? Tennis has taught me a lot of lessons. I think what I'd like to talk about mostly today is how sport mirrors life and life mirrors sport. You learn so many lessons in sports that are so important for life. I encourage everyone to play sports, and even if you aren't going to that professional level and making it a career choice as I have, it teaches you so many lessons. And a few I'd like to talk about today. Focus and drive. You have to be focused, you have to be disciplined. You have to be willing to show up every day if you want to be good, if you want to perform well when you get into competition. You have to be focused during the whole practice. You can't let your mind wander, you can't have those lapses, and that translates over into life when you're in school, when you're at work, when you're trying to achieve something. Whatever it takes, you have to stay focused. Discipline is huge. You have to be disciplined. Often Serena and I will say, you know what, on the court today in my match, I had no discipline. I didn't make myself do what I needed to do. And it's the same thing in life. You have to have discipline in order to put the work in. And it's not always easy. It's something that comes with time, and as a young person, sports does teach you how to be disciplined. It teaches you how to apply yourself and how that really does make a difference. And at times it's just a lesson that, especially when you have good coaches around you, like I had my mom and my dad, good coaches and good people around you who instill that into you and make it fun without you even realizing that these are the lessons that you're learning. Success and failure. Sports prepares you for life in terms of learning how to succeed and also failing. I've had failures. That's sport. Failing, and it helps you to be successful. I turned pro at age 14, and that's kind of common in women's tennis. It doesn't happen as much anymore because there's rules now that kind of keep you off the tour, but I did turn pro at 14. I didn't play a lot of tennis. I was mostly in high school. I kind of turned pro just to be grandfathered in so that way I could play when I wanted to because they were changing the rules as far as age eligibility. So I went to high school and kind of was a regular kid besides the fact that I trained 5 hours a day after school. But, you know, I turned pro and finally I started playing my first full year, probably around 97, and I turned pro in 94. So of course I had a lot of hype around me and a lot of expectation, and I went out there and started hitting the ball and beating players, and I think at that first year I started out at around 200, and I think I ended the year in the top 20 because that was my goal. We were always setting goals. We were always taught to set goals and write them down. My dad said, don't have it in your head, always have it on paper. And I find that becomes something very important. When you see it with your eyes, it somehow goes into your head, it becomes visual, it becomes something real. So that was one of my goals that year, is to get in the top 20 and to be the Tennis Magazine Player of the Year and the WTA Newcomer of the Year, and to see my name on that ranking list in the top. All these different little things that happened that were so exciting. But of course I played well, but I hadn't won a major yet. So by 2000, I was coming back from an injury, and I had actually, let's back up to '99, and Serena and I were both in the U.S. Open final. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the U.S. Open, and we both were in the semifinals, and she played her match really well, and I played my match. I just didn't make the right decisions, and I got nervous, and I made, incidentally, against Martina Hingis, I just wasn't able to make the right choices, and that was a huge failure for me because it could have been an all-Williams final, and it would have been huge, both of us in our first final against each other. So that failure made me realize that I had to do whatever it took on the court and stick to what I knew and execute it, and not kind of start backpedaling because you get a little nervous or doubt. So that I think I credit that failure to my successes further forward. So that is a lesson in failure in sports and how it really can propel you. And sometimes it's kind of, you have to have that big loss or that eye-opener that really takes you to the next level. But at the same time, as much as you can learn from failing, succeeding is equally as important, and learning how to succeed and learning how to win and knowing how to be a winner and having that winning attitude and having that attitude of positivity, doing whatever it takes to win, at the same time as being a good sport most of the time. Until the cameras turn off, right? Confidence. There's nothing like pushing yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally to this place that you never thought you could get to or get past. And you learn so much about yourself. You strengthen your character. You learn that you really can do anything you put your mind to. And that's a lesson that I always try to instill in young people that I talk to about sport, and how it gives you that confidence that, hey, I did this on the field, or I did this, when I was in varsity X sport. And I can do this in the classroom. I can do this in life. I think also learning to compete is not always a natural thing. I think I'm a good competitor. I think I have a lot of talent, but early on, I don't think I had that huge heart. And I think Serena and I, we play off of each other. She learned something from me. I learned something from her. And I recall she was really just a young kid. She was about 16 years old, and she was playing maybe against the #1 player in the world, and she's not even in the top 100, and she's just coming out on tour. And I don't know if you guys know tennis scores, but she was basically down 6-2, 5-1, double match point. And that didn't mean a thing to her because she won the match. And I remember that we were in Sydney, Australia, so there was this headline that said, White City's Great Escape, because that was the name of the tournament with White City. So she posted it on her wall, and we would read it every now and then. We were really young, so I would read it in the Australian voice. And we'd recall those moments. And I remember when I won my first tournament, it was the same year, a little later, and I was playing this player. I don't know if I should say any names, but I won't. Maybe after my career. But I'd lost to her 3 times. She always got the best of me. And I recall I went on the side on the changeover, and I put the towel in my hands, and I started crying, to be honest. I didn't want anyone to see, but I was like, I can't lose to her again. This is destroying my career. I can't have this happen. So after, the 30 seconds and my cry was over, I got up and I thought about how Serena, how she'd gotten through it, and how I needed that same heart. And I think that's the day that my heart grew. So even if you don't know how to compete in the beginning, sport will teach you how to compete, how to fight back, how to come back from that loss, or how to win. So I've learned a lot of lessons in sport, and I think one of the most important ones is being humble. I think sports keeps you humble, because it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter if you're #1 in the world and you won 50 matches, you're going to lose. And you're going to lose a big one that hurts. And you're going to have to learn how to come back from that. And you are going to have to learn how to deal with people saying that you might not make it back, even though you are #1. And you're going to have to learn to deal with criticism and take it all in stride, either from outside sources or from coaches or even from yourself, the criticism that I think all of us are our hardest critics. So you're going to have to learn how to deal with all of that. And I feel that sports keeps you humble because each and every time you know you have to be prepared. You know that you have to give your best, or else that it could be that day that you lose in a match that you really want to win. So it keeps you humble enough that you know you have to keep working hard. You can't let up, or else you know the consequences of that.